As Marc mentioned, it was about a year ago that we unveiled our vision for the future, and we call it Driving to 2050. And the basic premise around Driving to 2050 is that we see our sector and low carbon fuels around for 30 plus years. And the way we said it a year ago was for generations to come. So not that new technologies aren't emerging, they absolutely are, and those are great. But there's room for everybody on the highways of today, and we need all technologies and all alternatives to get to a net zero future. So, we believe that fossil fuels and low carbon fuels made from fossil fuels will be part of that mix, and that's that's up for us as a sector to demonstrate how we can do that and how we can be part of this transformation.
Yep. And just to build on what Jason said as well, having been part of the industry now for close to 40 years, I mean, you can see that there is a fantastic level of ingenuity, actively involved and working. It's folks like, whether it's engineers or folks who are kind of involved in turnaround activities. That skill set is quite fantastic, and it's just kind of showing that the fact it's been there for 25 years, and that's kind of good evidence of the fact that Canada has worked pretty hard to get where we are from an energy availability standpoint, and that's something that would make a lot of sense for us as a society to leverage as we transition to a lower carbon future. And, we just kind of look as well what's happening in the UK and Europe in terms of some of the difficulties that we're seeing, in fact, and the fact that they're, running low in, natural gas, for instance. And, the fact that, renewable energy is there, but, it's not necessarily fully there yet, maybe, obviously. So, it's good to kind of make sure that we have, the base infrastructure from an energy standpoint, stable and be able to operate for quite some time to be able to provide that continuity from a fuel access point of view. But like, Jason said, we still need, to kind of plan for the future as well, but also be part of that transition, support the transition.
Just in terms of, I'm not sure if everyone on the line is aware in terms of who we are and what we do, but the next slide just kind of outlines what the Canadian Fuels Association is all about. And we are the voice of the transportation fuels industry. You'll see our members' logos there at the top, and you'll recognize some of those names in terms of companies that are doing some pretty interesting things. And a lot of these companies have also been around for a long time and have been part of the fabric of our energy landscape for decades and decades. So it is a broad reach that our sector has, and this group of companies supplies about 95% of the fuels that are used in Canada today. So a big reach. And we talked about Driving to 2050 about a year ago, and that's sort of the way of the future that we're looking to realize now. And so our most recent report published last week is called On Our Way, and it's really about making 2050 or Driving to 2050 a reality, and it's about the things that we're doing as a sector to go after that vision, and we're putting our money where our mouth is in terms of the greenhouse gas reductions that we've announced and are planning to perform, and 3.5. The equivalent of 3.5 million cars off Canadian roads. That's a pretty big number, and that shows a commitment from our sector, as well as the dollars that we're looking to spend here, $5 billion plus on making this happen. So that's a big number. We're going to create some jobs as a part of this process, and around 8,000 in terms of direct and indirect, and construction versus operation. So lots of opportunities. And then the last part, and this is kind of what this discussion is about here today, it's around collaboration with stakeholders. Like we're doing this much more than we have in the past. We realize that we don't have all the answers but we need to form some partnerships and relationships with those that do. And by kind of working together, we can combine our expertise with others and get to the right solutions. So those are the basically the four measuring sticks that we're going to use for ourselves as we go forward. And, you know, just around net zero, you know, you hear a lot about net zero these days, and certainly with COP happening this week, you know, net zero is a term that lots of people are interested in, and companies and countries have sort of adopted some net zero goals. And I think the work that we're doing in this space supports what Canada's looking to do. You know, we know that, again, lots of different pathways need to be taken to get to net zero. We feel that, you know, we have control of and support for several of those pathways, and our industry is going to be around for a long time. And, you know, this is really about policy and what the government, we think, can do to support that. And, you know, we want to talk about things, again, back to the collaboration ideas on a national basis with all stakeholders. So, you know, right now, you know, we've got a transportation sector, you know, automobiles, we talk about rail, we talk about air, we talk, you know, different provinces versus feds. We believe everybody needs to be at the table, and a national transportation strategy is going to help do that. And that's one of the things that we feel is important for the government to be the convener of, and to pull those folks together so we can have those conversations. The next point about leveraging federal and provincial legislation and policies. Well, you know, you look at you know, renewable fuel content in Canada, for example. You know, ethanol, you need 10% in some areas, it's 5 in others, it's 8 in some. So, you know, it's a bit of a patchwork quilt when it comes to these things, and that's not the most efficient way to handle our business, nor is it you know, great for consumers. So we want to standardize some of these things and leverage what's already going on, and make sure we've got a level playing field across Canada. And then the last thing is around incentives, and you hear tons of information about incentives for other technologies, and, you know, electric vehicles being one. And we feel that there's emissions reductions possible through support for our industry and for internal combustion engines, just the same as they are for EVs. That, you know, new cars using low carbon fuels are going to have a lower footprint, and let's unleash the potential when it comes to emission reductions through incentives for a number of different pathways. And I think there's 2 more slides, so just bear with me. And I'm not going to go through all these things, but in terms of, if you just back up for a minute, there's 3 things that we're doing, and there's some examples in the boxes. But, you know, we're looking to produce and use more low carbon fuels. We're looking to leverage the infrastructure we have to support new technologies. So, for example, many of you maybe even drive an electric car, but some of our members now at our traditional retail sites have charging stations for electric vehicles, for example. So that's infrastructure that we have and have sort of used for forever. And now customers can engage with us in a different way, and we can get some experience in being one part of that solution in terms of the EV infrastructure. So that's one example. Hydrogen fueling stations at our sites, same thing. So, you know, we've got something to offer in these new technology arenas, and we want to play that role. The last thing is something you may have heard about, and it's more about our refineries, and there's 2 kind of aspects to it. One is carbon capture and storage, and that's, you know, becoming an increasingly popular topic. It is possible, it is happening in different areas of Canada today. We feel there's more opportunity to do that. The other one you don't hear as much about, but it's just as promising, and that's co-processing. So taking bio content, wood waste, soy, canola, different bio streams, and putting it right into the refinery process that provides an opportunity to create low carbon fuels right at the source in the refinery. So, there's some exciting things happening in our industry. You don't know, or may not hear about a lot of them, but again, this is us trying to tell our story, and that's why we're here today. So thank you for allowing us to be part of the conversation, and happy to take any questions.